Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Hi humans! Before we kick off the episode, Andrew and I wanted to say thanks to everyone for the amazing comments and ratings you've shared about the show on iTunes. It really helps people find the show and lets us keep putting these out each month. Special thanks go out to those who left comments such as ARD7.62, AJ Knobs, and Das Handtouch. May the Emperor, the Ruinous Powers, and Gorkin Mork smile upon you. And with that said, let's start the show.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And a lot of weird shit. Roll to seize!
Welcome to Roll to Seize. This is episode 12. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and Warhammer enthusiast, Andrew Dickinger. Hello. Oh my god. Andrew, did you sacrifice your soul to some kind of demonic presence?
No, I've done no such thing.
Oh, you just have been talking a lot. Sorry, I get confused sometimes when people just wear out their voice or when they turn themselves into a demon. It's just so confusing.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, it's really bad because I keep this anti-demon sword over here. I've lost so many friends. So,
what? What's going on?
Oh, you seem so much better now.
I'm fine.
And you dematerialized. That's weird how when you lost your voice, you also became intangible.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta phase out, you know?
Sometimes you gotta phase out. I don't know why I imagine that's like a bumper sticker on the back of somebody's car.
When in doubt, phase out.
It's just a blood letter with a thumbs up, just like sometimes you gotta phase out. Or you know what that is? That's really just Necrons. That's old Necrons.
Old Necrons.
Anyways, guys, so I'd like to put a quick disclaimer out there at the top of the show. We've occasionally ragged on Space Marines a few times on this show, and we don't hate them. We don't love them, but we don't hate them. I personally like Ultramarines. I think they're cool, and Space Vikings is always fun. Love you, Space Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, Space Marines in general, they're, we give them a bad rap, but it's more just because there's so many of them.
There's so many of them, and they're so good most of the time. But right now, their codex just dropped recently.
Yeah.
And you know what? They didn't get any crazy OP crap. So you know what? We're sorry for anybody out there that was giving you guys crap, because it looks pretty good. It looks like a pretty tight codex.
Yeah, they definitely got some strong formations. Mm-hmm. There's one in particular called the Skyhammer formation, something like that.
Skyhammer.
That's getting it's being promoted pretty heavily.
Yeah, it looks cool,
and it is good. But I wouldn't say it's like to the degree of like everything is D or
that would have been a pretty rough formation. And the Space Marines, who would you give that to? The Stern Guard. All the Stern Guard can
all
also
their weapons, combi D weapons.
You can do Hellfire rounds or D fire rounds where you just kill everything.
It's looking on the horizon like Tau is for sure next.
Tau is coming, everybody. It's weird because now, like you and I have talked about this, like Tau has kind of gone a little bit by the wayside, at least in the tournaments that we see. They're not as prevalent as much as you used to see them before.
Yeah, they're definitely not the flavor of the month anymore.
Right, where you just see riptides.
It's just like, God, Tau Eldar all over the place. Oh my God. Like, it was just like, it got to the point of crazy. Like, I was, the last tournament I was in was probably about 25 people, and there was one Tau player.
Yeah, that's very strange. You would have seen the complete opposite of that last year.
Yeah.
Now they'll have potentially D weapons, and that can shoot the sky, and...
Yeah, I mean, that's rumor mill. I hope they don't get D weapons, honestly, because it's very kind of unfluff-worthy towards them.
Right.
But I hope that railguns become the major focus again.
Yeah, railguns would be super cool. I don't know if anybody, some old Warhammer players of Tau remember back in the day when, didn't railguns used to shoot through walls?
They could fire through walls.
Which is so awesome. I mean, yeah, it's mean if you're on the other side of them walls, but that's pretty cool,
it was
in my
awesome.
opinion.
So if they get a major focus again, I will be very happy, because I love railguns. It's why I started Tau.
Right.
And, of course, Gundams.
And because we all watched Eraser as kids, you guys know you did. That scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger killed a crocodile and then made a joke about making shoes out of it is some of the best movie magic we'll ever see.
I believe his line was, your luggage.
Your luggage. That's right. It wasn't shoes. It was luggage. So, guys, let's dive into how we open each episode with our Seizes of the Month. So, I think last time I went first.
All right, I'll go first.
Yes.
So my Seize this month, I actually got to play Skitarii in the last tournaments, because I will say that I am slightly obsessed with space robot ninjas, just a little bit.
I mean, why would you, though? Because space robot ninjas, there's nothing in there that I can really latch onto.
That's unfortunate, because your life is far
because
more
you're wrong.
Because you're wrong.
Because you're just wrong.
But I was just playing, I want to do my own thing. So I was just playing an army that I came up with, and actually...
That's so weird for a person that spends most of their time on this show coming up with weird lists.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't like doing my own thing. Just give me the cookie cutter as it comes.
Yeah, right.
But I also chose to use a formation that I fell in love with. The Castellan robot manipules.
That's a whole mouthful of robot right there.
So they're essentially the normal unit is you're forced to take 2 robots and a data smith, which is essentially like a guide for the robots. He puts these little programming chips into them and tells them what to do.
I imagine it's so much like Baymax in Big Hero 6, where he just slides the giant computer chip in his chest.
La la la.
La, 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 la. You were all doing it. You know it.
But you take these robots are actually pretty badass. They're slow, and I like actually that they're the way that their rules work. They have these special rule that they can choose each turn, but it doesn't come into play until the beginning of the next turn because it's like slow to happen.
Right.
But you can take them in basically 2 different forms. You can either take them as a shooty version or a melee version.
Very cool.
And there's this formation that's kind of bonker silly that you have to take 2 of these maniples, so 2 units of these robots minimum, and one of the Dominuses, which is like their HQ unit. He's like the master of machines, essentially. And they all form 1 unit, which means that at minimum you have 4 monstrous creatures and 3 characters that are all 1 unit.
Jeez.
Which is silly.
Just a super strong murder squad.
But so this thing, I'll just run down the stats quickly for you of what this thing can do. First of all the ranged weapons of the robots are strength 6 AP3.
Yeah, that's okay.
With 36-inch range.
Also okay.
They also have the ability, if they stand still, with one of their functions is that they can fire their secondary gun twice, which will give them a total of 9 strength 6 AP3 shots apiece.
Jeez, this is a Seize of the month, right? This sounds like everything's going right at this point.
This is a Seize. I will be getting to how it's a Seize. And then the cool thing is that, so these robots have a ton of firepower, but then if the data smiths or the Dominus chooses to not fire that turn, then that gives the robots the ability to split fire.
Ooh.
Which means that you can fire at tons of different targets with all of this strength 6 AP3 shots.
That is some sexy robot action.
And the reason I fell in love with this is because the one thing that's true for most of Skitarii is that they're glass cannons. They're very fragile.
Yeah.
So even the things that have a 4+ save plus feel no pain plus a 6+ invulnerable save, and 2 wounds, but then they're toughness 3, which means that the majority of the guns in the game, like scatter bikes,
that's like a unit that nobody uses now. Or tons of scatter lasers,
or any type of autocannon, or just anything that strength 6, just completely bypasses half of their stats.
Right. So it just shuts them down immediately.
And 4+ save still isn't great. So the bottom line is that most of them are pretty squishy. And then it was nice with the Cult Mechanicus release, which is the secondary to Skitarii release, to have this really chunky, hard to delete unit. Mm-hmm. Now the cool thing as well is that these guys also all come stock with Feel No Pain, and all of the it's majority toughness 7 because of the monstrous creatures. Which you look at these tiny robots, you are trying to justify how they're toughness 7, but you just let it happen.
They're made of, I think you and I have talked about this, but I believe they're just mostly made of garbage. They're just filled with just a bunch of bolts and screws and like thick old metal, and that's so there's just why they're so tough.
A blade of crap.
Just a blade of crap they shoved in there. Like, I don't know, put this can in there. That'll also eat the bullets.
Well,
and
we only need about 1 foot for this computer chip, but I guess we gotta fill this empty space with something because we can't have this tiny little robot.
What are we gonna do with all this garbage? It's like a Three Stooges episode, but with murder robots in the grimdark. So great.
So you have this big unit, that super killy death unit, that's also actually good in melee. I mean, a bunch of power fists, a bunch of monstrous creatures, and a power axe. Like, it's actually good in melee as well.
Jeez.
Not to mention that 3 of the models at stock have haywire melee weapons, so against even knights it kicks their ass.
So your C's is that you forgot to field them, right?
I left them at home.
Left them at home. Guys, remember your shit.
So game 1, I'm going against what's normally one of the foils. I found 2 Skitari, which is flying tyrant spam, which it's ironic that tyrants are mentioned so prevalently in most of my seasons.
Either against you, well, always against you, but either on your side or not on your side. They literally are your Achilles heel, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's most of the time me fucking up using them, but this time I was going against them, and it's just like, I just look at my TO and I just give him a scowl because I'm just like, you fucker.
It's like how Lex Luthor just tricks Superman into walking into kryptonite constantly. You just keep falling into hive tyrants just consistently.
Like, God, they're just everywhere.
Oh, not again, damn it.
But so I was very protective of this unit because I love them and I spent a lot of time building them, and I was like, oh, I want to be badass. And
he named each one of them.
One of them may be named Sparkles. It may not be.
That's solid.
But I vastly underestimated the survivability of this unit. 1, and 2, the fact that it's simply like a mini Deathstar. Like what you do, you're supposed to shove them in your opponent's face and be like, deal with me.
Dare you to kill this thing.
My C's is very simple. I stuck them at the back, which was the absolute worst thing to do.
Just about close enough to not fielding them.
They should have been stuck at the very front, put center field, so essentially it's like, either deal with me,
or I'm going to be messing you up,
or I'm throwing strength 6 AP3 firepower over the whole board. And I mean, this guy even ran a super heavy. He had a barbed hierodule, and just to give you an idea of how survivable this unit is, because it's crazy, he shot the barbed hierodule, which is 12 strength 10 AP3 shots.
Jeez.
At this unit for 3 turns and dealt a total of 1 wound.
Oh my God. That's heartbreaking.
I mean, that's just like it was after the second turn.
I've done everything possible and nothing.
After the second turn, he was like, "Well, I don't want to shoot at that unit anymore, but there's nothing else in range, so I guess I will." Throws dice. Yeah, okay, now we're moving on.
Well, next target.
I should have, the C's is that I should have stuck them at the front and just been the threat to his whole army, because this is the one thing he really had no answer for, and I stuck it in the back where he was calmly just able to ignore it for the whole game.
All right, well, that was an awesome C's. My C's of the month is actually a little bit of a throwback. So before I give any wonderful C's of how great I am with Harlequins, I wanted to do a quick call back to a previous C's. And this actually works a little bit with kind of what you were just talking about. I kind of have the flip reverse of it. So back in 6th edition, when you used to be able to ally Eldar with Tau, we were talking about Tau
they
a
were
little bit
battle
earlier.
Brothers, yes.
They were battle brothers. Used to see a lot of crazy stuff. For an example, I was playing a game. I was playing Eldar, of course, and I was rocking an old list. Like 6th edition had just recently come out, and I was still playing with some of the old tools that I usually had before.
Lots of War Walkers.
A lot of War Walkers, but I hadn't really adjusted them to their new style of play. I wasn't really used to battle focus, and I got into a game, but that really wasn't my C's. My biggest issue was my opponent I was playing against was really digging into this Eldar Tau mix-up Battle Brother shenanigans. So you had things like, one of his units, I believe, was Shadow Sun, a Riptide, and a Farseer, if I remember correctly, or something like that. It was just a combo mix of some super mean Deathstar that, like, rerolls its shots because of its guide and prescience and is super invisible and unkillable 2+ saves and just hates me always. And I made the mistake, and I've done this before, and especially with kind of in your scenario, you've got this big super Death Star that you put in the back. This guy was putting it out up front. He was putting it very blatantly in front of me to shoot at, like, hey, take some pieces off of my big nasty unit.
Yeah, the torch with moths to the flame. Be
right.
Like, come and get me.
And I, like the moth, went right for that flame, and I unloaded on this unit. And this unit, as it is designed, is meant to take tons of punishment. And sure, it is powerful. It's got a Farseer in there. It's got Shadow Sun that gives it stealth, and it's got a Riptide. But at the end of the day, it's really just kind of one big damage unit and a couple support units that are with it. Meanwhile, as I'm laying into this unit with War Walkers, with Dark Reapers, with everything I've got at my command, his other units are going around and picking off all my other units, my objective secure units, and pretty much all of my other support. So I don't kill the Riptide or the Farseer or Shadow Sun at the end of the day, and now 2 or almost 3 turns have gone by of me just laying into this like, I'll throw warp spiders. This was before I really knew about Interceptor. My warp spiders dropped in. He dropped one nice big old ion cannon blast on top of them and killed all of them, which was great. This game, as you guys can tell, had a lot of seizes in it.
It went exceptionally well.
It went exceptionally well because one turn he just failed all of his leadership saves and they all ran off the board. No, I wish. But no, yeah, I slowly got just picked apart because I focused too much on the big torch that was laid out in front of me. And sometimes I know you guys can go up against these big, scary Death Stars. You can go up against maybe Andrew's Death Star. You can go up against a Wolf Star, all these things, these Centurions running around with Invisible, although we might not see that much anymore. But sometimes forget about the other army that's out there, the ones that are going to be capturing objectives, that's going to be getting up in your face, that's going to be disrupting your supports and your units that are really helping you win that game. And sometimes you need to move away from that torch and focus on other options.
Yeah, because in the end game is you got to play to the objective.
Got to play to the objective.
That's how you win, playing to the objective.
God, I forget that more times than I'd like to. But yeah, guys, so my Seas of the Month, focus on the objectives and ignore that torch. Do not be the moth, guys. All right, so that'll be taking us into the Brown Library. Whoa, guys, it is chaos in here. People are freaking out hearing about D-Weapon Skyfire. I think, Eldar people are, rushing books into strange crystal cabinets that are being picked up by crystal giants and teleported somewhere. It's real weird in here, guys.
It's also making me a little uncomfortable because Gary has put posters literally everywhere that says, everybody loves the D.
Yeah, I think Gary's really fully embracing D-Weapons as hard as he can. I mean, you embrace the D-Weapons don't come for you.
Let's be honest, the whole game should just be D-Weapons.
It really should. I mean, I think if my Shuriken guys could just fire, rapid fire D-Weapons, it'd be pretty great. I think it would make this game pretty balanced. Jeez. Well, here we are in the Brown Library, and each month we always talk about a specific unit, or units in some cases recently, that has been selected as an underused unit on our Dakka of Dakkas forum.
Indeed. And this month, I'm actually very pleased because it's an army that I'm very familiar with, and a unit that I actually had used readily before I put the army on hold.
Oh, wow. What unit is that?
So the faction that we have today is Tau.
Oh, boy.
And the unit that we're going to be talking about is Aun'va.
Aun'va!
The Space Pope!
Space Pope!
So through the votes on the forum, it was close. There was a lot of things that were tied, but in the last second, Aun'va pulled ahead.
Aun'va killed everybody and made it through.
He murdered everybody with space popiness.
Aun'va, is he the guy with the dueling blade, stick?
No, that's Anshi.
Anshi, that's the Darth Maul kind of character for them. But Aun'va is the one. He's on the big old Pope.
He's on the freaking Pope, on the Pope mobile.
He's on the Pope mobile. I don't know why I even asked. He has literally a giant Pope mobile.
So just a little bit of background to this guy. Aun'va is essentially the supreme chancellor. He is Palpatine for the Tau. He's essentially not only the spiritual body of the Tau, he's their guide, their spiritual guide for the entire species.
Mm-hmm. He runs all their yoga classes. Aun'va's up there doing the downward dog and the warrior, everything.
But yeah, so then he's also their high chancellor, their counselor for all of their supreme commanders.
He's the school counselor for every Tau child.
Well, he's like that.
I'm really belittling his position in the Tau community.
He's more like the head of state.
He's like the figurehead. Everybody's like, "Is this a good idea?" And everybody looks to Aun'va and he's like, yes.
Yeah, so he's close to a president, but he doesn't exactly have militaristic power that still goes to the commanders, but he sort of has
Pope is a pretty good reference, actually, because popes would honor or say this is a holy war, or this is a good war, or you should marry this person.
Cardinals, spiritual leaders.
Yeah, they kind of gave nods of approval back in the day, so this is kind of like that.
And it had sort of a pseudo overriding power with we would very much that passive aggressive style.
Popes could excommunicate kings, so they could, if they wanted to, be hey, you're no longer a king, I'm a pope. That's
Yeah.
my Pope impression. It's pretty accurate.
It's spot on.
I think every Pope has to learn to do that impression when they become Pope.
Yeah, I mean...
Nobody researched this, like everything we say.
I mean, I'm assuming.
Yeah. We live in a bubble. We have no idea what the world is like out there.
I haven't left this room in a couple months.
Yeah, well, we're traveling through space, so it's tough. I mean, you die literally when you get out there.
But so Aun'va, he's interesting. He's like he did actually excommunicate somebody. He excommunicated Farsight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they don't see eye to eye, those two.
Yeah, well, because Farsight sort of broke the greater good and embraced like close combat and a lot of other things. And so, technically Aun'va and Aun'va's like second in command, which is Shadow Sun, are trying to like hunt him down.
Pretty cool.
Aun'va, so that's basically his background. Stat-wise, Aun'va is kind of weird. He's interesting, but he's very strange.
He's very weird.
So he's a named character, but he's not an independent character.
Wait, what? Aun'va's not an independent character?
He has no ability to join
In
units.
current Tau Codex,
Yes.
he is not an independent character.
Correct. He's got his own little unit, which is just him and two guys.
But he can't join anybody.
But he can't join any.
I guess the Pope Mobile doesn't want to get all down with other units, apparently.
Yeah.
Pope Mobile, it's not off-terrain vehicle.
Now, granted, the total actual wounds of the unit is like 8 wounds.
Really?
Because all the other two guys are his bodyguards.
Does he also fill it with garbage like the AdMech vehicles?
Well, the thing is that the two bodyguards that are with him are multi-wound models, and he's a multi-wound model. So,
geez.
So if it's against small arms fire, it actually takes quite a bit to like chew through that. It's basically an 8-wound monstrous creature.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Going into his stats, though, he's got some pretty cool abilities. One thing that's super useful, especially for Tau with all their low leadership, is he allows everything in the army, regardless of line of sight to him, to reroll all pinning, morale, and leadership checks.
Jeez. Well, that's nice.
That's great.
Especially when you don't have They Shall Know No Fear.
Anyways.
We almost took a right, but we stayed on path.
He still has the same ethereal ability that if a unit's within 12 inches of him, they can use his leadership, which bypasses that a little bit. So
that's nice.
They can take his leadership 10. He has the Invocation of the Elements, which all the ethereals have, which is like you choose at the beginning of the movement phase one of 4 different abilities that anything within 12 inches gets, essentially.
So is he like the Avatar? He can like bend fire one turn, he can bend water, he can bend air.
So the fire element...
He can bend Cheetos, that's the 4th one. Don't double check this.
So... So the fire element allows all pulse weapons within 12 inches to him to fire an extra shot at half range.
Oh, that's cool.
So rapid fire gets an additional rapid fire shot.
That's not bad.
Or he can give everybody stubborn, and then he can also allow them to all run and snap fire their weapons. So it gives them like a pseudo battle focus,
kind of like a battle focus, yeah.
Or he can give them all a 6+ feel no pain.
Nice.
Which is not bad.
Oh, no, it's not.
Extra saves are never a bad thing.
No, they aren't.
But his ability as well extends even further, that he's able to dish out 2 of these a turn, as opposed to the Ethereal's normal 1. So,
instead of like, I'm used to like Imperial Guard or occasionally like using orders.
Like one order, yeah. He actually can give off 2, so he can be like, everybody's got 6+ feel no pain and stubborn, or everybody can move and fire snapshots or run and fire snapshots and has additional shots at half range.
That's pretty cool.
So it can extend pretty quickly, and like the last combo I talked about, like with the being able to move, run, and snap fire, and then having an additional shot at half range, that can stack up pretty quick, especially when you play with like Markolites. Markolites, suddenly the snap firing is not a big deal anymore because you're snap firing, but you're still BS5.
Yeah, that improves you substantially. That's 100% increase in chance.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So like that is surprising. So I'm like, and then I looked at his point cost, and I'm like, he's only 100 points, which is not really that expensive.
Not terribly, especially for an 8-wound monstrous creature, basically. I mean, that's just, if anything, a bullet sponge.
Now, there are toughness 3, so they can get doubled out by a lot of stuff.
1 bullet, dead,
and
whole thing.
They basically have, even though the 2 bodyguards have like honor blades, which makes them strength 5, like they have basically no combat ability at all.
They're there to, parade and wave and,
Essentially, I mean, he's the freaking Pope.
He's the freaking Pope.
But yeah, they're there purely as a support unit, and I can see where 100-point tax for a support unit can be kind of costly, and the fact that they still, as an ethereal, if you kill Aun'va, gives your opponent an additional victory point.
Right.
Which can suck.
Yeah.
Especially if you do the foolish thing and make him your warlord, then he's giving up 2 victory points if he dies.
Ooh, that's expensive.
But then comes his silly thing. He has this relic, this item called the Paradox of Duality. It's this big shiny staff thingy with a gem in it. And it has a kind of
Does it show him where the Ark of the Covenant is when he slams it into the sand?
It does, in fact. I mean, he's riding the Ark of the Covenant right now.
Oh, so he found it already.
Yeah.
Nice. Good job, Aun'va.
But this thing, it does something wholly unique to 40k, which is after his unit, this is the important part, unit, not
Which is
himself,
just really him and his 2 guys.
unless somebody else joins him.
Oh, right. Because he can't join, but he can be joined by.
He can be joined. But so after an unsaved wound is inflicted on his unit, you roll a d6. If that d6 is equal to or above the AP of the ranged weapon firing at them, it's canceled out entirely.
Whoa.
Which means
that's really good.
Which means that unit is entirely immune to melt-a-weapons.
That's crazy.
AP1 is automatically ignored.
It's automatically ignored.
Now, the counter side to that is AP nothing has no save against it, but here's where the crux comes in.
Scatter laser it all day, every day.
How do you make this useful? Because obviously you have to key an entire army around him to, take advantage of his dual buffing and his leadership boosts and everything else.
Your whole army's independent characters, they all join.
If you're doing Unbound, that has been discussed. Literally doing
Just one unit, just a giant unit of independent characters.
And all Crisis Suit commanders just joined to him.
Jeez.
So if you're running Unbound, you can totally do that.
Yeah, guys.
And then it's basically immune to all AP 1 and 2 weapons.
Yeah, good luck.
But the way that I found that you run the easiest way to run him and increase survivability to his unit, but also to pass that survivability to the thing that joins him, is you run a tank commander. A commander with toughness 5 and the 2+ save. And then why not give him a 4+ invul save and feel no pain, and just have him join the unit and stand out front. Because he also has an independent character status, so then you have the 2 bodyguards that are with Aun'va essentially right next to him, so he can be looking out things to him. But then as well, he also gets that paradox thing, so it's like, well, you can only get past his 2+ armor with 2 AP weapons, which then he just ignores on 2+.
Yeah, that's so silly.
It basically gives him a 2+ invulnerable save against AP2 weapons, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So having actually run this personally, like before I put a Tau on the shelf, I was running a drone themed list, and I ran this combo, and it's
with the Aun'va in there?
With Aun'va.
With Space Pope, awesome.
With Space Pope, just because I love, as per the show, using units that no one else likes to use.
Is that the Space Pope? Oh my god.
People are like, Aun'va, what the crap does he do? And there's nothing more hilarious than having D-strength Wraith Cannon shots get fired at this unit, and for them to just be phased away. I imagine they make the little fart sound as soon as they're about to make impact. It's like...
Or they also end with...
That's just that's played through his chair.
It comes out of the chair.
Speakers.
The chair only does 2 things. One, negates the most powerful weapons in the universe, and then makes that sound effect.
Yes.
Jeez.
The Ark of the Covenant in the 40k universe.
It's really what we want from an Ark of the Covenant.
But yeah, so you have the buff commander joined to it. You have the buff commander with 2 missile pods and a target lock so that he can fire at some separate things, and then you can stick 2 marker drones with him to just be throwing 2 BS5 marker lights at something. He fires some missiles at another thing, and then essentially the Space Pope is just throwing gifts out everywhere.
You get some gifts, you get some gifts, you get a blessing, you get a high five.
And so then how do you key the rest of the army around this to take advantage of this?
Right.
Well, since it only applies to pulse weapons and their half-range fire, the one thing that I found that was actually hilarious is that one gun that's highly unused that extends into this is the sniper drone rifle.
I know of your sniper love for the drone, so yes, please tell everyone.
So the what's called the long shot pulse rifle, which is the sniper drone team sniper weapon, is a 48-inch range sniper rifle with rapid fire. Now, normally as a sniper...
Which is still pretty good.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, it's a rapid fire sniper rifle that can get rending.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And precision shots.
Not bad.
And the units with, as long as they have the spotters in it, the whole unit's BS5.
Yeah, BS5 rapid-fire sniper rifle weapons at, 48 inches? That's amazing.
So then at 24 inches with the Aun'va boosting of increasing the weapon fire.
Oh, jeez.
That means that each squad of 9 sniper drones is firing 27 BS5 sniper rounds at 24 inches. And because the drones are jetpack units, that means that they can move and fire rapid fire.
Oh my god.
So they can move up 6 inches and be like, blah, 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 and then just fire their weapons
That's the
off.
noise they make,
That's
and then
the
they
noise
shoot
they
you.
make. And then
Someone
they jump
goes,
back.
what's that noise? And then they get shot a bunch.
So they can. I've done shenanigans especially with full line of sight blocking cover, where they all stand behind the cover and then they all jump in front of the wall, fire, and then they all jetpack back behind the cover again.
Goodbye. That's terrifying. Just an army of basically close range sniper units.
Yes.
That's so weird.
So this army is super gunline. Like, it could not be more gunline
guns
focused.
and guns all day.
So this is the first time I've actually ever used an Aegis defense line, because I don't normally use fortifications.
Oh man, everybody remembers the Aegis defense line. It was like the hottest thing ever for a while there in 6th edition.
Well, 5th edition too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It started in 5th, and people were like, holy shit, it's Interceptor Skyfire gun for flyers, whoa!
Let's do it all day, every day.
And I mean, the bottom line is anything that stands behind it gets a 4+ cover save. You go to ground, you get a 2+ cover save. So
not bad.
Ain't bad. Now, here's where it also comes into play of that shenanigans that's kind of silly, is that, you go to ground, you get a 2+ cover save. Well, Aun'va, if you have him as your warlord, has an ability that allows your entire army that's gone to ground to stand up and act normally once per game.
Oof. So he gets like an extra, that's like an order. That isn't, I believe, an order in Imperial Guard, so he gets like an even extra order. So that dude's like throwing orders around like nobody's
left
business.
and right.
That freaking Ark of the Covenant, man, it's dope. That's why those Nazis wanted it, man. It's super powerful, and it makes funny noises.
So this army's only real weakness, other than gargantuan monstrous creatures, because you can only wound them on 6s.
Right.
With sniper rifles.
Wraith Knights.
Yeah.
Or Squigoths, let's not forget our big giant monster friends.
We do have a guy who runs a gargantuan Squigoth in our friendly local gaming store.
And we love your choice for doing so.
Yes, it's fantastic.
It's amazing.
But other than that, I mean, vehicles obviously are a big problem.
Right.
So the way that I kitted this army was to be like, well, just have enough anti-vehicle that can reach out pretty far so that your opponent is essentially forced to walk
all
into
the way to you.
A death storm of firepower.
Basically the exact definition of a killing field.
It's just like, well, you go beyond that 12-inch zone, and I hope you can take like 90 wounds. Because...
Do you have a magical teleport to get a... No, you don't? Oh, you're dead.
So the army is essentially this. The core of the army is the tank commander attached to Aun'va, and then the core of 3 maxed out units of sniper drones. Jeez. So that's your core. Then your troop choice, it's really actually what you want at that point, but you could also just take pulse rifle fire warrior squads to also stand behind the Aegis line and take advantage.
Yeah, it does work.
They'll at 15 inches rapid fire with 3 shots apiece of strength 5 AP5. That ain't
Stay near
bad.
that Pope. Stay near him.
They ain't bad at all.
No.
So you can have those as your core troops, and then essentially everything else in the army is anti-vehicle.
That's awesome.
Everything. So I've taken the fire-based formation, which is 2 units of broadsides with rail rifles to basically blow shit away from far distance, an ion riptide to blow shit away, and then deep striking units of fusion blaster crisis suits to just basically suicide in, blow a vehicle up, and just laugh as they have to walk across the field.
That's so much anti-tank. Yeah, I think you've got that pretty covered.
Now, I actually have played this army, so unlike a lot of our previous Brown Library
wouldn't it be funny if...
Yeah, this one actually I have experience with, and I'll tell you right off the bat, if an opponent does not have an idea of what this army can do and are wholly unprepared for it, they will lose in dramatic fashion. Like, I've had games with this army where I've wiped the opponent on turn 2.
Jeez.
Because their entire focus was close combat Deathstars, or just close combat in general, or it's super min-max, like not small units, but like say like the entire army is only like 5 monstrous creatures, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, shit.
Everything has Melta, everything has Rending, I'm very dead.
How many sniper rounds do you have again? 27 total, right? 27 per squad. What's their blitz skill? What? Wait, they ignore cover. What the fuck is happening? And it's just like
just dead.
Oh, it's just hilarious. Like I mean, it's silly, especially to see your opponent's face of just when you're like, how many sniper drones? 27 sniper. You're fucking me with me, right? That's not an actual thing.
That's not a real number.
And you just got the biggest shit-eating grin on your face, and you're like, yeah, let's do it.
Now let me pull out my 15 bags of dice that I have to roll for this. Here we go. 90s, just unbelievable.
So like I said, coming actually from personal preference, you can actually run this army and be competitive with it.
Wow. I think this is the first ever for Brown Library, a fully tested example.
Exactly, yeah.
That is awesome. Well, guys, get out there, try out the Space Pope. Hopefully he's still Space Poping it in the new edition when it comes out. But yeah, all right, that was an awesome Brown Library. So now, as we end each of our episodes, is with the Dakka of Dakkas, a fun comment or something we found on the Dakka Dakka forum. So what is our example today?
Now, Aun'va is a weird one because Aun'va was argued previously to the 6th edition Tau Codex as the worst character in the game.
Oh, man.
By a huge margin. He was terrible. Like, literally, if he died, he made your entire army run off the board.
That's like as bad as phase out, basically.
It was Tau phase out.
Jeez.
So then the Dakka of Dakkas this time is like, it's playing off that comment where essentially people are like, you know what? Now that I've really looked at it, he's actually not that bad at all.
He's not. Clearly.
I mean, it's only 100 points. It's the price of 2 ethereals to basically do two ethereal abilities.
Right.
But then also give you board-wide rerollable leadership, board-wide fucking leadership boost.
Double your plasma, not double, but add another shot to your close-range plasma shots.
Well, that's the thing, is that all ethereals can do that. The difference here is that he can do that and another ability, and make him and that tank commander essentially unkillable to ranged fire.
That rolling so that like meltas just don't hurt you in AP1, that's crazy.
I mean, think about that, like, if a person's just running grav guns or grav and melta, it's just like, well, you can't ever get warlord because all your ranged low AP weapons are basically useless.
Or you could just shoot at these drones. Good luck. You're dead. Oh my god. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that was episode 12 of Roll the Seas. We'll be posting a new episode every month. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. You can email us any questions at rolltoseas@gmail.com or chat with us on dakkadakka.com and help decide the next Brown Library segment. Search for fluffy/underrated units in the 40K general discussion forums. Of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram for tournament and fun model picks at partialarc. Thanks for listening, and your fun fact for this month is...
Ironically, Tau is the only race actually making new technology.
Really?
You think about that. Like, Imperial just recreates the same crap. Eldar just recreates the same crap. And Necrons just woke up after a million years and used the same crap.
This stuff still obliterates everything, so we're just going to keep on using it.
And I guess, like, Tyranids is the same technology, which is just, like, pseudo-evolution.
It's just mucus and claws, right? That's just their design. They're like, it needs more mucus and more claws.
Actually, that's not too far from the truth.
Right. And as I just described, their weapon master is a carnival barker from the 40s.
Of course. I mean, who else would be the
All right, Hive Mind, what are we going to be designing today? That is just dumb. I'm sorry.
So that's what Tigerius heard when he accessed the Hive Mind.
He heard that guy. It's like, I don't want to go back in there. It was horrible. Really fucked up in there.